What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Vulnerable Moments, the podcast. I'm your host, Joevan J. Palmer. And as always, we have transparent people sharing their most vulnerable moments. Got another great individual here today. And I say great, I mean it. I love this girl.
I love you too, bro.
You are like, every time I see you, always in a good mood. Even when you hustling and grinding, it's like you're still in a good mood.
Yeah. I don't even know where it comes from. I would love to tell you, because I have my moments, man. Like, moods are just not so great, but it's like people's energy just gives me a different level of. It's like it's just a gentle reminder about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So even in moments where I don't feel like I could really be in a moment where I don't feel like it, but then someone comes to you and they're like, "Oh my gosh, your brand," and so on and so forth, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, God, I saw what you did there." And you gently remember, like, it's not even about you. So get out of your space, because it ain't got nothing to do with you.
Factuals. Well, before we get into it, introduce yourself.
My typical.
Whatever you feel.
I am Kellis. I am the Ugly brand. I'm the owner of the Ugly brand. The purpose of our brand is to encourage people to do things ugly, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like. No matter what starting point you're at, just continue to do things ugly. Stop giving up. Quit quitting on you. And things are not going to be perfect. I know we keep chasing perfection for some odd reason. And I didn't realize that it didn't exist until I started this brand. Perfection is like, it's not a thing. So why is it that we're chasing this thing? And I'm like, nah. I need people to understand, like, it's always going to be ugly. I don't care. You can make the millions. That's ugly too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the thousands, that's ugly too. I sure can't wait to find out, though, what
those
look like.
Right.
Those ugly problems look different than the ugly $1 million problems are a lot different than the hundreds.
Absolutely.
But
where you from, Kels?
I am from Prince George's County, gorgeous Prince George's County, Maryland.
That's what you call it?
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody say that before.
Oh my God.
I just heard everybody call it PG County.
Yeah, gorgeous Prince George's.
First time for everything.
Yeah.
So how was it growing up in PG?
Man, growing up in PG was great.
Gorgeous
Prince George's. Yes,
gorgeous
Prince George's.
Gorgeous Prince George's.
Yeah. Yep. Growing up in PG was amazing. I grew up in Forestville, Maryland. Not like the greatest part of Maryland, but it's not the worst either.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have shootings and anything like that in my neighborhood, nothing like that. You had your few druggies, so on and so forth, but I grew up, went to private school. Parents put me in private school until I got kicked out. I got kicked out in second grade of my private school. And I'm sure we want to go into that maybe. Because back then, the school was predominantly, administratively, the school was comprised of people who don't look like us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, growing up, my mom has always taught me to speak your mind, say what you need to say, of course, respectfully. But I used to ask a lot of questions. And it was more so like, if you tell me 2 + 2 is 4, I'm like, well, why? Mm-hmm. Oh, we're not going to do this today. Well, why? Why are we not doing this today? It's raining outside. We're not going to do X, Y. Yeah, but why? I just needed to know why. And I had this one teacher, she just could not stand it. She deemed it as me being defiant and disrespectful. And I'm always questioning her. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't questioning her authority. I needed an explanation. I needed to understand it. It's how I understood. But she didn't take the time to really, she didn't see it like that. And so phone calls back to back to back. And so I also wasn't being challenged enough in the school. So when I finish my work, I'm bored now. So I'm start talking to my homies. Now, obviously they're not finished, but I didn't register that. I'm 8, didn't register that. And so they were like, hey, here's the thing. I don't know if this school is really for her. So went there, and then after that, my mom was like, okay, cool, no problem. We'll put her in a public school, and I went to a TAG program in Bowie, Maryland.
What's TAG?
Talented and Gifted, because I was more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
But only on one side, right? Only in math. Reading, not so much. My behind was hooked on phonics. I had the yellow box. out this joint. You know what I'm saying?
Shut up.
I had the yellow box.
Yeah.
You know, but it was probably the best experience. I had some good teachers there. My sixth grade teacher, I'll never forget her. My mom was in the hospital for like 3 months. She ended up having a blood clot that went to her lungs. I believe it went to her lungs. Traveled from her leg to her lungs, and she had to get a blood transfusion. She's in the hospital for, like I said, I feel like it's like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this one teacher. Her name was Katrina Lawrence. I'll never forget her. And I would come to school. My dad, 2 girls, me and my sister. My dad doing hair, which is not a thing. Like, I would come to school, and my teacher would be like, yeah, just bring her a couple minutes early. And she would, like, do my hair and stuff for me. Like, projects, my dad was still, kicking out between that and going to see my mom in the hospital and things like that. And so, like, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew my mom was in the hospital. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
But my teacher at that time, she stepped up and, like, was like, all right, no, cool, no problem. You know what I mean? I got her.
Yeah.
And it was pretty dope. So, but growing up, I got everything I wanted. Everything. There's only one thing that I did not get growing up.
What was that?
It was a go-kart. And the only reason I didn't get that go-kart was because we didn't have, like, a garage or anything like that. Other than that, I would have gotten it. And so as soon as I get where I want to be, I want to buy, my goal is ultimately to buy 11 acres of land. I can't wait to buy my go-kart. People are probably going to think I'm childish, and it's cool.
No.
But I'm going to get my go-kart.
ATV.
Listen, I want the go-kart and the ATVs. I want all that. I was into all that stuff. That was the only thing I didn't get growing up. So growing up for me was pretty dope. I grew up like, I didn't have to work, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
My godmother introduced me to entrepreneurship. She started a bus company, a tour bus company, when I was 12. So any breaks, I worked with her filing papers, stuff like that, in her house and everything. She grew it so big. She grew it big. Black woman in that industry, became very popular there. She ended up getting the office and stuff like that. So, but even then, there's nothing that I wanted for her. I didn't know if my parents had struggles. I didn't know it. You know what I mean? I know my dad got laid off 3 times. Like during the course of their marriage, they're still married today. I think like 46 years, something like that. I can't remember. But my dad always there, plays sports. You know what I mean? It's all county and track and soccer. Growing up, I mean, they just were always there. So I had an amazing life growing up. But even with people like, I never knew what divorce felt like. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that, and I try to explain to people all the time, like, just because I grew up with my mom, my dad, don't mean
everything's all pretty.
Everything was Gucci. It wasn't.
For sure. I know. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Both my parents.
It wasn't. Yeah. So, like, but I didn't learn that stuff till I grew up and started going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I got into therapy because of a terrible relationship. And I was like, I'm going through depression and stuff like that. And my therapist took us all the way back to the order in which you are in your family. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with anything? And then she told me about that. It's birthrights and your birth spot. I can't remember. It's a book. I asked for it for Christmas this year.
Let me know the name of it.
I got you. As soon as we finish, I have it on my phone.
Okay.
And it's on my wish list. And I'm like, I never realized how the position of that you are in your family plays a role in your life. And so it helped. I had to understand it because of the position that my mom played in her family.
It dates back to that, so it connects it that way.
Connected me all the way that way because my mom and dad. So my dad is the youngest of 6.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is the oldest of 6. And so when I was going through therapy for this broken relationship that I had gotten out of, it took me back to the broken relationship I had with my parents. Not so much my dad. My dad, I'm a daddy's girl, hands down. He's my best friend. Talk to my dad about everything, anything to this day. We talk every day. My mom, it wasn't like that though. And growing up, my mom was she was the disciplinarian,
mm-hmm.
right? And it was more so, you do as I say. I keep clothes on your back, roof over your head. I'm paying for you to do this and the other. I'm doing my job. And my dad spend time with us.
Mm-hmm.
Come outside, play basketball, cool. I'll eat the plastic burgers from your stinky little kitchen, right? Like I'll eat your little plastic burgers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't realize how important that was until I got older. And so it became a part in our family where my mom would feel like the girls don't talk to me. And my dad's like, well, that's, you don't have that relationship with them. You didn't build that. Yeah, but I'm doing these things. But it's not, you know what I mean? And I'll never forget one thing my pastor said, a child spells love Time. And so I realized that, okay, now that's why our relationship, you know what I mean, wasn't strong or whatever. And so figuring out in therapy, and one thing my therapist said, she said, you know, what is your mom's birth order? And I'm like, well, I don't have to do anything. She's the oldest of 6 children. My mom didn't have time to learn how to have fun and things like that. Back then, and then too, my grandfather was in the military. So there's a whole different level of lack of communication, especially in a black home. And so she was like the third parent. You know what I mean? So it's always been discipline. It's always been structure. It's like, well, my dad's the youngest of 6 children. His mom died when he was 17. Oh man was for the streets. He was out here. He's having a good time. He raised himself just about. You know what I mean? So, but I didn't realize that the importance of the birth order. And so I'm the youngest of just 2 children. But I grew up very envious of my sister. Because I felt like my parents paid her so much more attention than me. And, but it wasn't until I started once again going to therapy, I didn't realize, I'm like, even to this day, my parents coddled my sister more. But I didn't realize it was because that's what she needed. Because she's not as outgoing. She's an introvert. And me, extrovert. I do what I want. I'm going to do what I want. You know what I mean? I'm going to figure it out. If I want to do something and I can't get it done this way, I'm going to figure out another way to do it. I'm very independent. My mom told me I turned over in 2 weeks when I was born. So, you know, I guess a child is not supposed to sleep on their stomach. And eventually they'll turn over to sleep on their back. So it might be vice versa. But whatever it was, I did it in 2 weeks. And so it was at that point my parents like, oh, we don't need no more children because this one right here going to give us a run for our money. And they did. I did.
Dang.
I did. And I still do. But it's, man, like I said, growing up, having both your parents, a lot of folks like, yeah, so you guys get like the little Pinterest family.
Yeah.
It ain't that sweet. And like, it's just,
absolutely.
It's not. We got to a point where I had to move out. I moved out. You know, moved in with my aunt or something like that because me and my mom just were not talking. We were not getting along. It was, and in her mind, it was like, she's so defiant.
Yeah.
And it was more so like, I couldn't communicate to my mom the damage that had been done with the lack of communication, the type of communication. But I didn't even know how to communicate. I just knew that we didn't know how to communicate. And us being so strong-minded and being alike.
Yeah.
It put us in a bad spot for a while. And it wasn't until I went to school down at Winston-Salem State.
You went to Winston-Salem State?
I went for a year.
Really?
No, I went for a semester. I went for a semester in 2006.
I was at Lewisburg then.
Yeah. And so I went down there for a semester. And it wasn't until then that we got close. We were far away from home, stuff like that. Wasn't there, you know what I mean? It wasn't until then that we got close. And when I came back home, finished up at Bowie State. And now my mom is like, she's the one, when it comes to this business stuff, when I tell you she's the number one supporter I got, she's like, okay, well, what do you need me to do? You know what I mean? When it comes to these hoodies, everything, she packaged them, she folds them. I've not folded one hoodie, not one T-shirt since I started this brand. And it's like once I took the DISC assessment, I had her take the DISC assessment. She's a high C. My C is in the trash can. Administratively, you want me to organize something? No, I'm just the brains. I don't organize. You know what I mean? But okay, Kelly, you need to let me know this, and this. I'll do the rest. You know what I mean? So it's so crazy how full circle it's come. My dad logistically is the brains. You know what I mean? You need to be here at what time? All right, cool. You need to do this, and this. I'm going to go get this for you. So I know like a lot of folks, when they get into entrepreneurship, they feel so lonely. And I've never felt that. I've never felt like somebody ain't support me. My two right and left hand are my mother and my father. You know what I mean? And it's so some people say, you know, I can't relate. You know what I mean? I might be lonely in other areas, of entrepreneurship, but not the actual physical support. I've gone out of town. Like I had my first keynote speech November 10th down in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, down at Damian Burris's 8-inch World Mastermind event. And first thing is my mom's like, okay, what's hotels? I booked the van. We're driving down, no problem. Now, are we going to order these hoodies? What are we doing? You know what I mean? And sometimes they get so bothered because I'm like, why are you so advanced? I'm like, girl, we got time. She's like, nah. You know, we got to do this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, you're right. You know? So, but I don't, growing up, my life was great. I still have my friends. I still got some friends from neighborhood, sandbox homies. Hey, the first thing they check on is some guys I hung around. 'Cause we used to play sports and stuff like that. And every time I see him, how's dad? You know, my dad is the neighborhood dad. You know what I mean? But even friends from sandbox, even my friends from my best friend from middle school is still my best friend to this day. Still and what I realize is I'm like, dang, you know, her birthday is the same day as my mother. August 29th. You know what I mean? We're total polar opposites. I mean,
as you
she's
should be.
super girly, you know, just, I mean, pocketbooks and into all. We are so total opposite. Best friends to this day. Till this day, we've been friends since we were 12 years old. I'm 35. We're 35. So 20-something years. So I can't, when it comes to loyalty and friendship, I know what it's supposed to feel like because I've got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's, life growing up for me was great.
Yeah. So life being so great, like people always like, yo, you ain't been through nothing.
Oh yeah.
People always like they like throw it in
yeah.
the face, like you said, you got a 2-parent household, they stayed together, you don't divorce. It's like, yo, you don't know nothing, you ain't been through nothing. And it's like, just because my life growing up shaped out differently from the way that yours it doesn't mean I haven't experienced life in a way. So what are some things that you've experienced that people can say like, damn, like regardless of like, you know, it's not always glitter where it shines at, like just because the 2 parents are there, like, so you got your 2 parents, they took care of you, they held you down, but it's like we still go through things.
Yeah, man. I'll say one thing I grew with my parents still being together and stuff. I grew up ignorant when it came to relationships. Grew up very naive. I grew up yelling, why are we doing all that? Like, why are you? Because I've never seen that.
Facts.
What type of communication is that?
Yeah.
Now, I will say I grew up with my mom yelling at me. And it's like, why is she always yelling? You know, and see, I am that child. Who are you talking to? Mother or not, who are you talking to? You raise your voice at a 10, I'm going to a 12. Care child's place or not, I didn't care. And that kind of stuff got me in trouble. Because now she like, oh, who you talking to?
Right.
I'm your mom. Yeah, I get it. But that don't mean you still get to talk to me any old kind of way. Don't work like that. But that took us back to my mom's family pathology. Military dad. You know what I mean? He's in the military. He raised them. Now, he didn't yell at his girls. One thing, he had 4 boys and 2 girls. Yeah. Same thing on my dad's side, 4 boys and 2 girls. But my mom's dad was my grandfather. I never got to meet him, unfortunately. When it came to his boys, very stern. Girls, doted on them. Do whatever they want, but he instilled the fact you need to get education. You know, I don't want you out here depending on no dudes. Right. You need to get educated. And so, but I don't know, that's the way that their family, my mom's side of the family, communicates. They and to this day, it's yelling and it's screaming, and I'm like, it's a trigger for me. So my mom would yell at me, and so when I got to a relationship, that screaming and yelling stuff, I'm like, oh, this is not gonna work for me. You at a decibel of a 10, I need you at a 2. Yeah, because you were traumatized. And if you can't get me, I'm traumatized. To this day, you cannot yell at me. I don't care who it is. It could be, you know, my partner I'm in a relationship with now. I can't. Yelling is not a thing for me because you're not communicating anymore. Right. Now I'm worried about who you talking to like that. I'm missing the message now. So that was one thing that I never saw my parents argue. And so when it came down to relationships, when an argument would ensue, I'm like, well, this ain't supposed to happen. I never seen this. I never learned how to fight fair. So now, but what I did know is that I never wanted to be, I never wanted to have to put my guards up, right? Like defensive. but that's what I saw when it
Right.
came to my mom. Defensive, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whole side of the family is like that. And so that was one thing where I was very naive and ignorant to the negatives of relationships because I never saw it.
Yeah.
On the other end of that, I also never saw my parents show affection. So I had to decide, did I want that in my relationships? Why are my parents not affectionate? I'm affectionate as I don't know what. Overly affectionate. I can be annoyingly affectionate sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because I didn't get that. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up a lot with getting hugs and stuff like that. And so now with my kids, and so let me just be clear, I don't biologically have any children, but I have children by way of relationship. And I have 4 godchildren. So all in all, I have 8 children that I am very tied to.
At 35?
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't physically have.
I know you have them, but it's just
Yeah.
the responsibility. That's
Man, listen, let me tell you something, dog. People be out here dating people with kids. My girlfriend has children. We have 2 kids, and then she adopted her brother. So 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, luckily they're older. 2 are they're older. Youngest
Yeah.
is 10. So that last one is our last one. And then I have from a relationship prior. I have a 10-year-old. Unfortunately, her mom is special. She's on her own wave.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a godson. My sister and her wife just had a baby, so that's 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's 11 months. He'll be a year next month, November 28th. And then I have 2 goddaughters.
Mm-hmm.
One of my godchildren, her godmother passed away, and so I asked to be her godmother because I think my godmother is what got me into entrepreneurship. She's also, provided for me when I went to WSSU.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and my dad were like, "Hey, nah, we can't co-sign for no loan." Typical, black family. We didn't prepare for college. All I knew was that you going.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you going now. How we
you
gonna
gonna
figure
pay
all that
for it?
out? Not my business,
Right.
But you going.
You'll be there.
You're gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that's what they were taught. College
Right.
was that. So my godmother wanted to go to WSSU. My parents were like, "Yo, we can't fade that. You know what I mean? We can't fade to be a co-borrower." Told my godmother, she's like, "All right, I got you. Send me the paperwork," like that. So when it comes to me being a godparent, I take it very serious because once again, I was blessed with the best godparents a kid could ask for. So,
Why do you think you took on the responsibility of so many kids, though?
I don't know, man. I can't tell you. I love children. I just don't want to have none. Looks like it hurts. I genuinely don't want to physically have any children. I know there are some people, legit, man. There are some people who are like, "Oh my gosh, Kelly, you'd be such a great mom," and I know it because I am.
Yeah.
But to physically have this, I have learned like your bones shift, everything, your organs, everything shifts. Like when you have children, physically, 9 months. In there, and you're supposed to be in there for 9 months. Some of these kids be stubborn.
Yeah.
Some of these kids come early. Like, I just genuinely don't think, for me, that God wants it. And maybe it's not God. Maybe it is God. I'm 35 and I made it this far. Because, I haven't always been with women my whole life. So that's a whole nother story. And I skated all those years. I skated. So I feel like I wasn't supposed to physically have children.
Okay.
And then 2, I feel like not all children ask to be in a situation. No children ask to be in a situation. So I just take my responsibilities serious. I'm not that person who wants to be involved in a child's life and then be like, "Oh, well, because it didn't work out here, you know what I mean, that I no longer have a responsibility." Now that kid looked up to me for something like that. I still feel like I can give that kid something. And it's not all kids. Not all kids I come in contact with where I would be like, "Oh, that's my kid." These are just situations that I've been involved in those children's lives for years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm their outlet, My godson, man, his situation with his parents is nuts. It's so unhealthy. I'm his safe space.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I think that if I were to ever, and I told my parents this, I told everybody, if I were to ever really have had children outside of these relationships that I'm in, if I never came upon any of these relationships, I would adopt a child. Because I think there's so many children who don't ask to be in situations.
Right.
And if I can give them just a piece of what my parents gave me, you change that kid's life.
Absolutely.
So I know that one thing that I want to do when the Ugly brand gets really, really big, I definitely want to start a nonprofit towards and gear it towards children.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like kids, like I said, they don't ask to be here, so they're depending on us to do right.
Yeah.
And there are so many people out here who are just choosing not to do right.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're selfish, or for whatever reason. It could be selfish. It could be mental illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, just because you have a mental illness, that don't stop you physically
Yeah.
from doing something, right? And then that something can produce a child. And now we have a child who's dealing with you not dealing with your mental illness.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I can't tell you, like, what would make you sign up for 8 kids? Man, I don't know. It's just God put these kids in my life, and I'm not gonna. They all have a piece of me.
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about legacy? It's the first thing people think about, my legacy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My legacy is not. It's not by blood, but my kids gonna carry on something out of me. You know, so I don't know. I think it takes a special person to be able to adopt children.
Oh, for sure.
Because now I'm taking on all of their stuff that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be like, oh, that's genetic. She just like me. I understand where she gets that from. I'm trying to pick up where you getting this from, and now how can I help you with this?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm here, and it's my responsibility to try to help as much as I can.
Yeah.
You know, so that's it's crazy. To be 100% honest. But so 4 boys, 4 girls.
And it balanced itself out.
Yeah. Now, and I never, for that one little moment in life that I wanted kids, this is when I was young and naive and was like, I'm going to be married at 23 and I want 3 boys. I want a house of chaos. I always said that. I wanted a house of chaos. And I don't know why. I don't know, because our house wasn't boring. Like, but I did have some friends who I grew up where they had like 6 kids. And it's just, everyone's everywhere. It's friends all over the place. But we had fun there.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always like, I want a house of chaos. I want 3 boys. And then I got older. And then I got into relationships with trash people, right? Like, who hadn't done their work. And I obviously didn't know nothing about doing work. And then I was like, maybe 25, 26, 27. And at that point, I'm really realizing, I don't want no kids. A lot of responsibility. And they're not cheap. They're not cheap. And not even just financially, but time. I don't always have been, I always go to my own beat. So you got these kids, now I got to find somewhere for them to stay, which is not a big deal. Right. Mom and dad are here. But then you want to be that mom who's always tossing your kids to mom and dad. So it's like, I always felt like I wasn't where I wanted to be financially. Mm-hmm. And even right now, I got these 8 kids, but I'm not solely fully responsible for them. But if something were to happen to their parents, I am now. Like, I'm on one of them's life insurance because, mom and dad can't get them situations together. But I'm on, like, I would not take care of my responsibility. That's what I signed up for. So I done told my friends, look, we sold out. I ain't got no more room. I got one, and now my best friend, the one I was telling you about earlier, of 20 plus years, she wants a child. And I already know what's coming with that. I can give you 9, but that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm sold out after that. But no, I love kids, so that's just one thing.
The Kelly bunch.
Man, the Kelly bunch, and it's a bunch. Like, they're totally different ends of the spectrums, all of them, personalities and all that. But I love them. They're great. They're good kids. None of my kids I got one out of 8. I think is good, and it's not his fault. He's 12 years old having to process adult things, and it's a struggle. And I can only just help him as much as you can. He's the smartest kid that I got out of all of them. He's a genius, but just the mental stress he's going through.
Yeah,
it's horrible. I wouldn't wish on any kid.
So let's spin this conversation and go back to something you said. So you said you hadn't been, dating women your whole life.
Mm-mm.
What was it like for you dating men and what was the reason why you stopped dating men to say, you know what, I find my heart is not chasing, but happier with women?
Man, I feel like I should have some type of like philosophical answer. And I genuinely don't have one. So like, here's the thing, right? Like, so I can just go through the journey real quick, right? I have the best dad in the world. Mm-hmm. To this day, before like, I even like, came I want a man to, just like my that's dad. It, that right there, right? Yeah. I genuinely think that might be why I ended up not really dealing with men heavily, because my dad, like even before I came down here, like I get really bad migraines to the point where I have a prescription for them. Mm-hmm. And my dad was like, "Did you get your prescription stuff filled?" I'm like, "No, I'm all over the place." And he's like, "All right, cool. You need to make that call." I make the call. He's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go pick it up." You know what I mean? Like my dad does the smallest things, but they're so big. They're so huge. My dad is just, that guy is amazing. But I did not pick guys that were like my dad. And I think that because I felt like I couldn't find a guy, there's only one guy that I think that was remotely close to my dad. And here's the truth, right? Like, we can be raw, right?
Yeah.
He was married. I was dealing with a married dude, right? And it was, y'all, so don't y'all judge me, okay? Don't y'all judge me, just love me.
Judgment-free zone, y'all know
just
that.
Love me, all right? I was young, you know what I'm saying? And that's the only guy that I felt like that was like my dad, but he wasn't mine, you know what I'm saying? And after that is when I really kind of, and I had dated women before. I dated a female. I first dated a female in high school. And that was cool. It was fun. It was a time. You know what I'm saying? We had a time. We had some times, man. We had time. But even with her, man, she was still battling with being okay with being gay, right? With being with women. Mm-hmm. I never had that problem. You gonna get who you got. I felt like if I wanted to date and deal with a woman that day, great. If I wanted to deal with a man that day, great. I could have both. So I did what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like,
was it hard coming out to your parents, or it was like,
no? You know why? Mom, you know why it wasn't hard? Because my sister broke the mold for me. And then it was. Let me tell you, man. When my sister broke the mold, man, I was in high school. I came home from soccer practice that day. My sister was home from Fayetteville State that day. And she was like fall break or something. It was one of the best things about college in the South, fall breaks.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? We should have had this stuff in high school. But whatever. She came home, and I already knew that my sister was gay. And she did not forewarn me that this was the conversation she was going to have. So when I walked in that house that day, by far,
felt like the most awkward
tension. I mean, like, I felt like thicker than, I just knew instantly I knew what was happening. And I was like, okay, Kel, you can do one or two things. You can turn this corner and walk back out and leave sis on her own.
Or you drop your bomb too.
Or no, I didn't know. I was only 16. Back then, I was still with dudes. You know what I'm saying? I had a high school sweetheart and everything, little quarterback. And, I'm like, oh my gosh. Or I can try to help my parents understand. Because we were raised in a Christian home, right? So being gay and Christian, just no. No.
Right.
Not allowed. Like, we were a Christian school. They let me back into school in middle school.
Okay.
So it wasn't allowed. And so my mom, oh my gosh, this is not what God has, and so on and so forth. And dad is just dad. I mean, he's like, all right, so let me process this. And so I figured, I said, okay, let me stay. Just to, kind of ease this, right? Like, I'm the person that when stuff is tough, I'm going to find some type of humor somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it's weird, and I don't want, I feel like laughter just is healing. And so I was like, look, guys, listen. At least you won't have to worry about her getting pregnant, okay? And so let's just count our blessings here in all of this, right? And so just try to cut the tension a little bit. But with my parents, there still was a mold that I still had to come out, because now my sister didn't date guys. So when she came out, it was this is strictly who she was. But here go me, I've dated guys, so my mom like, now wait a minute. Now wait a minute, sis. You just out here frolicking. You know what I'm saying? And so I never came out in high school. I got caught. So I got caught, right?
Like doing the do?
I got caught. Thought mom was at work. Knew she wasn't home. Thought dad was at work. This guy came home on a dang lunch break. Well, I was out of school that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had a car. I'm like, yeah, girl, come on over. And it just was, I got caught. Right?
In that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's how my dad found out.
So you didn't hear him come in the house?
Well, no, because I was busy, obviously. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I got caught. I got caught. And so, after that, you know, it was like, well, it can't get no worse than that. You know what I'm saying? And so, but at that time, my dad, my mom, you know, it's just a phase for Kelly. Ain't no phase. This is who I am.
This is it.
This is cool. I mean, this is what I want to do. And so, you know, I still had to break the mold, though. I still had to break the news when I actually started dealing with girls more seriously.
Yeah.
You're talking about moving in and stuff like that. That one time, okay, won't do it again. Okay, the next time go around, we're going to have to buy something together. Because that moving in stuff was tragic. But it was more serious. I had serious relationship with men too, though. You know what I mean? But it just, I couldn't get what I felt like I needed from a man emotionally. And I don't know if it now that I'm older and more developed with myself and personally developed, I'm thinking maybe, obviously, I put a level of responsibility on myself. Maybe it's the men that I was choosing.
Yeah, because like you said, you were dating a cat who was similar to dad, but of course he wasn't yours.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Let's talk about that for a moment. You know, because I don't want to say it this way.
Man, say it, man.
In a sense, you were a homewrecker.
Yes, I was. She never found out, though.
Yeah, but
it doesn't make it right.
Still, yeah, it doesn't make it right.
Doesn't make it right.
It's still there.
Yeah.
And dealing with that in that moment, like what's going on? Like you knew, because like you seem to be a responsible individual.
I knew.
Yeah.
I knew.
And what was it that says, you know, I know this is wrong, but like, yo, this guy right here.
I didn't care. We had a good time. We had fun. We connected. You know what I'm saying? On levels that we should not have connected, but we did. And I'm like, I was selfish. And I was like, yo, that's his situation. Ain't got nothing to do with me.
Cold.
It was cold. Cold. Selfish. And you would think that, you know, because I come from mom and a dad, you know what I mean? How would I feel if I was a child and a woman came and did that to my family? I never thought about it. You know what I'm saying? I never thought about, Kels, you want to be married one day. What if somebody does that to you? I did not care. I was the type of person, I'll deal with it if it happens. You know what I mean? And it went on for about a year. It wasn't no short-lived stuff.
That's a whole year.
Yeah.
How are y'all fooling around for a whole year and not get caught?
I have my own house. How
old were you at this time?
Oh, 28. I bought my house when I was 24. So I moved out of my parents' house immediately into my home. I never rented an apartment or anything like that, and no judgment to anyone who has or anything like that. Literally the only reason why I bought a house was because the lady who was doing my taxes at the time was like, look,
just buy your house.
You need to buy a house or you need to have a kid. You already know how I felt about having kids. Cool.
The house it is.
I was in a contract 2 months later. Let me go buy a house. Brand new build, ground up. I was like, I'm not, you know.
You still in the house today?
Yep, to this day. It's actually Airbnb'd out right now while I'm down here. So it's I love my house, man. It's cool, but I can't wait to move on. It's great. I've been there for 10 years. It's time. So, but yeah, I didn't care. And you see, he was a police officer, so you know what I mean. Working at night, see, them shifts are different. So, you know, I didn't have much. I got the time that I wanted, right? But then it got to a point to where I'm like, I want more, and he couldn't give me that.
Right.
So the bad thing is it's not even that I didn't stop doing this because it was wrong. I stopped doing because I was, once again, I was selfish. I didn't get what I wanted out of it.
Since I can't get what I want, yo, you can
There's no point in doing this. You can go in and do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, it just, and it wasn't right, man. It wasn't a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, it just was a part of my story. And I've never, and ever since then, never did it again. And, would never do it again, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I don't, right. You know, even this might sound weird, but I don't judge anyone who has done it. It takes two, you know what I mean, to participate in that decision. But at that time when I was doing it, I was like, I get what I want for the moment, and I'm enjoying myself, so I did it. But, you know, if I could take it back, this is the bad part. It probably might sound weird. Part of me would say yes. I would love to take it back because it wasn't the right thing for me to do. Right. But I don't regret anything I've done, only because that's just my life has molded me. Those mistakes, those bad decisions are what have molded me and created me today. Yeah. But, you know, it was absolutely not right. Absolutely not right. And so it wasn't, it was after him, you know, he was the closest one to where I'm like, you know, he's a good guy. He's awesome. It's everything that I would want to do, but I can't do this. And then it also got to a point, too, where I was like, if he can do this here, you always have that thing where I'm different. Nah. What makes you different? Right. It's just going to be, because you're in a relationship, you're only going to get 80% of what you want from somebody. Facts. 20% looks really good when you don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Even though we clicked and things was great between us, you know, I'm still at some point was gonna be able to give him that little 20%. Maybe it was a kid. I didn't want kids. You know what I mean? So, nah, it's that was probably one of the worst relationships I was in. You know what I mean? So, and he wasn't the first guy. I messed with another guy who, he was married, but they were separated. So even then, even that mindset, well, they separated. So
this ain't as bad.
This ain't that bad. Right. But I mean, I still went through some stuff. You know what I'm saying? That ex-wife showed me a number. Sis came in the house, broke in the house, stole my stuff. You know what I'm saying? I had to take her to court. All that stuff. Like, I'm like, yo, I didn't even sign up for this. Like, y'all not even together no more. Why you doing all that? Yeah. But in her mind, technically, you know, but this is where I learned about patterns. It was that relationship that I learned about patterns.
And within yourself.
Myself and other people. You know what I mean? They had a pattern. They were together for a while. They had a pattern of break up, make up, break up, make up. We fell into that same pattern. This was the most manipulative person I had ever been with. This is when I learned about manipulation. I mean, I hadn't experienced it prior to then. But then, you know, catch it. This dude was 20 years my senior. You know what I'm saying? 20 years older than me. He'd been doing this. I was a kid. You know what I mean? And so that relationship, I learned about patterns. You know what I mean? I learned about the court system. Take somebody to court. You know what I'm saying? For grand theft. All that. You know, I'm like, dang. Like, so, you know, these are the parts where you're like, okay, Kelly, you've seen these healthy relationships. Why would you go and do this other stuff? Well, I didn't know about it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, but by that time, I was already in it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So once you're in something in your heart, it feels good. Your heart gets involved. I'm different. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, you ain't different, man. Right. These things, these situations are so timeless. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, I'm not in that space now. You know what I mean? I'm in a very good relationship now. Of course, you have your stuff, but, you know, we're in a space where communication is being worked on, because ultimately you still have two different people, right? And you're still trying to figure that stuff out. But yeah, it's and I think that, and this is one thing too that you touch on. You asked another thing too about my childhood. A big thing that happened to me that shifted some of the reason why I probably did some of these bad relationships. I was molested at 19, and some people would say 19, you didn't. But when you're in a position with somebody that you trust, you're in this kind of stuff happens, you get in a state of shock. Yeah, yeah. And you're like, what's happening? And it happened for like 5 or 6 minutes. This guy, inappropriately against my will touched me, and I'm like, yo, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, I look at you like a second dad. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it happened, and I was like, that's not good. And I was in a relationship at the time, and I was like, okay, Kel, like, you don't gotta tell nobody. Like, you just, you know what I mean? But then I went home, and I was with the guy that I was with at the time, and I just started busting out crying. And he's like, what's happening? You know what I mean? And I told him what happened. And he's like, oh, I'm ready to go and take care of this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reaction and it's so crazy because you would think, yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I didn't want that. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted it to go away.
Right.
And I really didn't realize that how it affected me until I started going through therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened at 19. I didn't start going to therapy until 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
So I buried it. You know what I mean?
And that stuff when it comes out.
Yeah, boy, it came out. It came out. And I ended up having to tell, I ended up telling my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell him until I was in my 30s. And my mom literally just found out last year on a live on Instagram. Yep. I didn't want to tell her because I didn't want my mom to feel like. And this is one thing too, right? When coming out with my sexuality, and even with my sister, right? She's only had 2 girls, and here we are both. You know what I mean? Dealing in the LGBTQ ABCD, I don't know what it is, community.
I'm not laughing.
It's cool. It's cool because I don't know how many letters are in there.
Okay.
And I really don't know why there are so many letters. And this is no disrespect to my own community. I just don't, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I
don't get it, right?
Yeah.
And so, because I didn't want my mom to feel like a failure. I didn't want her, and she already felt that way sometimes, in dealing with that. You know what I mean?
She had 2 daughters.
And I didn't want my dad to feel like he didn't protect me. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot.
That's heavy for a man.
Yeah, that's heavy for a man to say, like, my daughter's happened to my daughter. It's heavy for you because you're dealing with the burdens of what happened with you, and the weight of 1, being molested, 2, holding it from your mom and your dad, and then also the weight of you not wanting your mom to feel like she's a failure. So that's another weight that you got to carry. It's like you just brick by brick by brick, and it's just like that's why I love these stories of you didn't go through nothing, but it's like you had your
see, this is stuff y'all don't be knowing.
Your own experience.
Stuff like just because I didn't go through the tumultuous
like my
trauma,
dad
breaking
there,
up, my mom going to separate houses.
Yeah.
You still go through traumas, man.
Facts.
I think that everybody has to heal from their childhood. I don't care how good your parents. I don't care how many books you read. I don't care because there are things that you get to that place where I'm not gonna do this because my parents did this.
Mm-hmm.
But every child is different. You know what I'm saying? And so you learn. You do what you were taught.
Mm-hmm.
You can read the books all day in the paint. You can look at the YouTubes. You can look at the Dr. Phil's. You can do all that. But your kid is going to be unique to you and your situation. And so, I never blame my parents for anything. But because I know that my parents love me so much, I never wanted them to take on the burden of feeling like they didn't do something.
Yeah.
Because they did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to get, when I got older, to realize my parents did the best they could with what they had.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about, that's not a financial statement.
Yeah.
It's a mental and emotional statement.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Now when I raise my kids, I'm working on the money part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I try to be so emotionally in tune with them. And sometimes, Joe, I really catch myself not being so good at it. And I know I need to be better. I know I need to be maybe
But you're still growing, though.
Yeah. Because I be coming to these kids' lives 5, 6, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm coming to my daughter's life 10, so I have to adjust and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so grateful for the things that I went through with my parents because I'm so aware of not just you having to provide for your children financially. You've got to provide for these children emotionally. It's way more important to provide for them emotionally than it is financially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I have friends who have children and stuff like that, and I always tell them to make sure they take care of themselves emotionally because an unhealthy mommy cannot raise a healthy baby.
Facts. And
an unhealthy daddy cannot raise a healthy child. Like, it can't. So it's so important to take care of yourselves. And I think that sometimes when you have children, you forget about it because you get so focused on taking care of them.
Forget about yourself.
And you forget about yourself. And it's even the same thing in relationships. You get so focused on taking care of, because when my parents went through, they did go through a shift in their relationship. Yeah. There were times where divorce was on the table. You go through a shift, these kids, now they here no more now. We stuck. Yeah, we got to look at you. We got to figure out, do we even still like each other?
Distraction as to like why we're still together, because we're focused on them. And
exactly.
then now it's like, Kelli gone, sister's gone. It's like,
now what? Damn, even dog is gone.
Yeah, nigga, you still here?
Yeah. You still here? You same nigga I married?
Yeah, your breath stank.
God, snoring and shit. You got a CPAP machine and everything else now.
I got a question.
What's up?
It just dawned on me. Do you think you've taken on the responsibility of so many children? Not, of course, because of the reasons you explained, but because you're not gonna give your parents grandkids.
Well, no, my sister gave him a grandkid, so why do I have to do it?
I'm just saying because like.
But she just gave him one this year, last year, this year.
So she's not gay anymore?
No, she's gay. Her and her wife had a baby. Yeah, her wife had a baby. Her wife carried. My sister tried to carry. She had blood clots that went to her lungs 2 years ago.
So same thing with your mom as happened with your sister?
Same thing my mom had with my sister. And then last year, my dad had a blood clot found in his leg. He caught it. Didn't go to his lungs.
I had a friend
needless
pass
to say,
away from a blood clot from a knee injury, went to his lungs and
burst. I have a friend who I lost, Tanya Owens. I lost her 4 years ago at her grandson's birthday party.
Dang.
So I know I'm supposed to be the limiting beliefs and fear coach, but I have a fear.
We all do.
As it's obviously in my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You just don't know.
Yeah, and so this year when my appendix it didn't burst. It was on its way. And I had to go to surgery.
Yeah, remember that, yep.
I'm like, yo.
This could be it.
That's cool. This appendix just in a little appendix, but see, it's these other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the next week I had to fly out to Mexico for one of my best friend's weddings.
Yeah, because I was talking to you then. That, yo, like, what's up?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I really had to think about it. I'm like, do I let this $3,000, and I know the $3,000, it wasn't really about the money because I can make that back.
Yeah.
But just being there for my friend, like, they, been together for almost 10 years and finally tying this knot. And I'm like, here you are. You know what I mean? You recovering. And it's a major surgery.
Mm-hmm.
It's common, but it's a major surgery.
Yeah, you still got cut open.
And, yeah. And so I went to Mexico and was in a wheelchair the whole time with compression socks. But I did buy some fashionable compression socks.
Of course you did.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But, so... yeah, it's that's a huge fear of mine. But I don't know. I don't. My mom now has her one grand. Ihan.
Ihan.
Yeah, I know.
Hard.
It means
like
something that's pretty dope. I think it means like Prince or something like that.
It sounds
Yeah, he is he's 11 months today.
Oh, she just had the baby.
Yeah, 11 months today. His 1 year birthday is next month. And my mom is so overjoyed. You know what I mean? Good. I think that, though, maybe where I get this from, my parents are like that. And I'll tell you, when growing up, went to private school, we had a young lady, my sister played basketball. We had a young lady who came over from the Bahamas to play basketball on our team, and she stayed with us for the 2 years. Parents didn't know this girl from Adam. The coach just said, this girl needs somewhere to stay. My parents were like, okay, we'll do it.
Come on in.
But because all of my friends around me, I don't know if I have any of my close friends around me whose parents are still together. Or even if their dad or mom was even, heavily involved. I have so many friends who call my parents mom and dad. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what it is. Because that's just what I saw.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. My parents never turned a child away.
That makes sense.
They never turned a child away. Now, a parent, maybe. Okay? They can go on with your parents. We don't care nothing about y'all. Y'all grown. Whatever piss poor decisions y'all make, that's you. But a child, my mom never turned away. One of my godchildren she came by way of one of my sister's old relationships. Mm-hmm. And my mom was like, well, because y'all not together no more, I'm not gonna leave this young lady out here to struggle on her own. And so, even now to this day, that's her baby.
You're a dope, Kellis.
I appreciate it, man. I
Real
appreciate it. I'm. My life is my life, and I'm not ashamed of nothing I've done. I've done it.
Yeah.
What? It's
And
over now. I'm still here.
I love how you just
Yeah.
how you live and you speak. It's like, yo, this
Man,
is,
if you want to judge me
this
for
it.
it, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm
You
sure
know,
there's some other words behind it, but
you go buy a hoodie still.
facts.
You know what I mean? That's the name of the brand. It's ugly, man. It's so. Y'all see my flops? I'm good.
It doesn't matter.
You
said
man.
ugly.
So look,
Get comfortable.
but you
I
know
told
what?
you.
If you see my socks
I
still
told
match
you,
the fit.
a boot comes off.
Okay, yeah.
A shoe always comes off
Listen,
during these
I'm here,
episodes.
yeah, I'm about to sit here. I
Yeah.
still need to get my feet done. I don't know. So, it's just I just want people to understand and just be okay with your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that you doing, everything is one thing my dad taught me. And it's so crazy when my dad taught me this. He taught me this. I was going through a depression, going through a breakup. It was so bad. This was the manipulation guy. It was just when I finally was like, no more. Can't do this. Blocked. I've never blocked anyone. He got blocked. And I mean, now I learned the power of block. And I'd be like, block
and do not disturb. My best friends.
Oh, yeah. And I learned how to filter emails too, right? Because, manipulative people, I can't get you on the phone. No problem. Let me send you an email. To the point to where I work for the federal government, and I had to hit the security office and was like, hey, can you block this name from sending me emails? Like, it was bad. And so I was going through a depression at that time. This was depression number 1. And one day my dad came over. I took off work. I couldn't go to work. And I had a puppy. Her name was Honeybee. I'm a dog lover. And so, dog lover. Okay, I love my dogs. I love my dogs. And Honeybee, one day this guy was, I'm not a dog person. And at one point I thought about giving my dog back. My dog was adopted. Her mom was found in a dumpster. And I adopted her. I adopted her, not the mom, but my pup. She wasn't born yet. And I was on my couch one day, and my dad came over. My dogs, they be with me. My dog's allowed on the couch, y'all. Okay? Okay, I got a leather couch. I just wipe it off, and I clean it. So, my dad came over, and he just stayed with me. We didn't talk. We didn't do anything. And I was going through this depression, and he told me before he left, my dad tried to give me a hug, and my dog growled at him. This is when I learned how I feel like dogs are the closest thing to God's love that you're going to get on earth. Mm. And then I realized that dog is spelled God backwards. And I was like, okay, cool. This is dope. The loyalty is crazy. And my dad walked out. Before he walked out, he said, Kelly, I just need you to remember something. Everything that you're going through has nothing to do with you. And I'm like, because I'm crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what you talking about? I'm the one who's hurt. My feelings hurt right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm going through some stuff. Like, what you mean? This ain't got nothing. This got everything to do with me. It ain't got nothing to do with you. He was like, there's going to be another young lady. There's going to be somebody that's going to come behind you. And they're going to need every lesson that you learned. And you're going to be the only person that's going to be able to deliver it to them. And it was from that moment forward where I realized everything that you go through in life ain't got nothing to do with you.
Nothing. And it sucks because, like, if you aren't mentally prepared for that statement.
Yeah. And for a while, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was upset. Because I'm like, but Daddy, I'm going through this stuff, and this stuff is heavy, man.
Yeah.
Feelings hurt, not going to work. I lost weight, ended up losing like 20 pounds. I'm already small. I went from like 120 to 113. Like, I went to 107 or something like that. I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? I'm losing weight, stuff like that's bad. Losing hair, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so in this moment, you want me to worry about why I'm going through all this for other people. Well, where are these other people at? Can they help me get through this right now?
Hello.
Like, because sis shooting in the gym by herself, and I don't like it. Mm-hmm. It's not a good feeling. And so that statement held so hard to me. Mm-hmm. So, like, even now in entrepreneurship, everything that I'm going through, I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Frustrating.
Yeah, very.
I have my moments where I shut down and I'll cry And I'm like, all right, cool. Go drink you some water. Maybe a shot. Or 3. Go watch a Disney movie.
Right.
And get back to it because this ain't got nothing to do with you. My dad, if that's not one thing, one of the most important things my dad ever taught me. Everything that you go through ain't got nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. So in going through the things that I've gone through, the heartbreaks, the terrible bad decision making in relationships, you know what I mean? Maybe not the greatest relationship, maybe not the greatest decisions. It ain't even just, you know, like relationships, but I'm really heavy on relationships because everything that we do is a relationship. Mm-hmm. You have good money, that means if you got a lot of money, okay, you have a good relationship with discipline. You have a good relationship with money. You have a good relationship. I had to realize why I just realized this year, in the third quarter, why my relationship with money is trash. I've been making 6 figures since I was 28 years old. I would love to be able to show you what I've done with it. I can't. I bought a house. That was cool. I shouldn't be in a financial position that I'm in right now. It's not the greatest, but it's not horrible. Mm-hmm. I'm getting it together now. But I didn't realize until we read that book, what was it, 2-3 months ago, Millionaire Mindset. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that relationship with money is horrible, not because of my parents, but because of my parents. I don't know. I ain't never know what it looked like to not have nothing. To not eat. I've always had everything.
Yeah.
Everything was handed to me. So what I knew was, you got money, go do it.
Yeah.
Have fun, go do it. But then there's that little girl credit. Okay? You got money, you can pay it back, Kelly, go do it. Until you ain't got the money to do it because you continuously paying credit back.
And that shit's stacking up.
It's stacked. It's stacked. You know what I'm saying? So in the midst of me, and I didn't really realize that I cared. And see, for me, I've always been concerned about myself. And I don't want you guys to think like I'm a selfish person, but I've been a person where I've only had to worry about me.
You can't be selfish with 8 kids.
You're right. But when it comes to like money, you know, I do for my kids and stuff like that, but I always did for myself. When I up and go, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't until I got into the relationship that I'm in now where I'm really, really, really considering marriage. And I'm like, what you cannot do is go into marriage with no jacked up money. Mm-hmm. Money and communication, finance and communication is the two things that's going to jack up a marriage.
Yeah.
Communication is something I already know we're going to have. It's not an issue, but it's a difference because we're two totally different people. Mm-hmm. And we're still figuring out how to communicate. But I don't think that it's fair to drag someone else into my financial shit.
Yeah.
I don't. So let me fix this real quick. But at the same time, you're like, well, shoot, how long you think you better date somebody for you to continue to get your stuff together? You're 35. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Luckily, my girlfriend is so understanding when it comes to finances because she's been there before. She just hit that road before I did. Mm-hmm. And she did it with children. I'm doing it by myself.
Yeah.
To an extent. You know? So, everything is a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And so, I've learned the importance of building healthy relationships with everything that I've got going on. Mm-hmm. So, when my dad says that everything is not about you, I'm like, okay, cool.
It makes sense.
Everything makes sense now. Mm-hmm. And I'm just getting it.
Yeah.
Like, it's all coming full circle now. Even in the business, like, I can tell you today, it's so dope. He telling us our time is up, y'all. But we're going to go in for a little second.
Go ahead.
But today, I went to a restaurant. Grits and eggs. I found it on TikTok. When I go out of town.
I have not been there just
let me tell you something. Find your way there.
I'm going this weekend.
I went there. I found it on Instagram. So, on TikTok. So, I'm like, all right, cool. When I go out of town, I always try to find a good spot to eat. Nowhere that I can get at home.
I wish I had known you was going.
Yeah. Dang. I just rolled out. I'm shady. I love you, though. I knew you were going to be tired. I didn't know because you didn't come to the happy hour yesterday.
I'll get up for breakfast.
You'll get up.
I'll get up. That's
okay.
my favorite meal of the day.
Duly noted. So, I went there and I ate and had first of all, I ate 2 meals. It was amazing.
That might be, they closed down.
No, yeah, I think they closed at 3.
Yeah.
So, I went in there, and as I was leaving, the hostess was like, what does that mean? She saw my shirt. It says ugly. And I was telling her about the brand. And she's like, oh, my gosh, that's so dope. Blah,
I got an idea for you.
Okay, what is it?
I can't
tell
tell
me right now?
I can't tell you right now.
Well, Sucks to be y'all.
Y'all hear about it though.
Yeah, but y'all going.
If she likes it, y'all hear about it.
We gonna run it. So I was telling her what the brand is about, and she's like, "You just walked past the owner." I said, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Yeah, let me introduce him to you." All right, cool. Started a conversation. He's like, I want to buy some hoodies, for my kids." I was like, "All right, cool. I don't have them. I'm gonna go back to the hotel and I'll come back." He's like, "All right, cool." Talking to him, and he's like, "I want to meet with you." And I was like, "All right." He's like, "What can I do for your business?" And I said, "Man, I just wanted you to have a hoodie. I was gonna give it to you." And he's like, "Nah. What can I do for your business? Marketing something?" My marketing is trash. I don't. It's just really not. It's not something I want to do, and I'm gonna find somebody else to do it. It's not for me. So y'all listening, and you feel like you can do it, let's do it. I can't do it. It's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "So I need you to come back down here real soon." Told him I'm not from here, but I come here often, obviously because of our community. And I was like, "All right, cool." And I was so flustered. I wasn't flustered, but yesterday I didn't sell out of hoodies. And I was like, dang, I'm going back home with these hoodies. I didn't want to do that. And just in 2 hours this morning, from walking from the lobby to the hotel to going to the restaurant, I sold $600 worth of hoodies. Everything is all in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him, I have learned that the new currency, if people are smart, the new currency is not, the current currency is not just monetary.
Yeah.
The new currency really is relationships. You build the right relationships. Relationships will get you in rooms that your bank account can't.
Say it again. Absolutely.
And I can tell because I really don't have a lot in my bank account. And I'm in some rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it. All because of relationships. So being a genuine person and learning how to just really build good relationships has gotten me so far. And I learned all of that from my dad. My dad and his best friend have been friends for over 50 years. Wow. That's my godfather. So I learned about friendship from my dad and my godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been friends for over 50 years. You don't see that. Call each other every other day. Could be a 5-minute conversation. Could be a 10. My dad cuts his hair now. My godfather has a really bad respiratory situations. So when COVID and stuff happened like that, my dad cut his hair. And so even though COVID is over now, my uncle just still comes down, just gets his hair cut. It's a bonding moment for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so even now, like my best friend, I'm so busy. I'm so all over the place. But she'll say, "Kelly, I miss you." And at that moment, I know I need to stop. It's time to pull up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's relationships, man. It's personal, but that requires personal development.
Absolutely.
It requires personal development. Yeah. Relationships are hard. It ain't gotta just be, romantic.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it's put out there in the light. Business relationships, friendships, all that. When you really value something, it can be tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I lost one of my best friends last year, and I can't even tell you why to this day.
Damn.
10 years, and sis was just like, I just don't think we're on the same wavelength no more. And I'm like, what? We see each other 3 days a week, work out with you, stuff like that. To this day, I don't have an answer, but in my therapist was like, Kelly, you should just have that conversation. I struggle with having tough conversations. I struggle with it.
Me too. That's something I've been practicing for this year, and I've gotten better with it. It's still a struggle, but my advice to that would be just have them.
Yeah.
Like regardless of like the stuttering, because I'll be like, because for me it's like, how am I gonna get my words out? I know when I get to that tough conversation, I've had this conversation myself, and it sounded so great and so eloquent, and then I get to the conversation like,
and you see someone's facial expressions, or you hear their tones and things like that, and you're like, oh snap. But I probably should have had a conversation, but
you still can. She's still alive, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, she's still alive, still breathing. I'm still alive. I'm still breathing, boy.
You value the relationship?
You know what jacked me up, man?
What's that?
For someone to sit here and tell you, I think it's better this way. So I told my therapist, I'm like, well, that person's mind is already made up. I'm not going to fight nobody to be my friend.
Yeah, but clearly you still battling it.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like,
you know what I mean?
say your piece, and even if it doesn't fix itself, you still said your piece and got the closure that you need. Because 10 years, kind of my best friend, she decided to cut me off. Oh, once you already know I'm gonna have some progress, I will catch the first flight to Vegas. Like, yo, what's up?
What's up? Yeah. The bad thing is, me and this friend live in the same neighborhood.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I'm pulling up to the crib.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. I kind of got to a place where I was just like, man.
When you're ready, pull up.
I try to make myself like not care.
No, I don't do that.
But
because what's gonna happen is that's gonna become your mentality with stuff, with friendships, even when there's like minute problems.
Yeah.
I don't care, and then they're like,
no, you do.
Yeah, you care. Like, you care, and it's gonna be like you're gonna be in this war within yourself.
Yeah. Where
it's like, I care, but I don't care. Cause I tried to do that too. Like, fuck it, that attitude. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I find myself always being at war because I'm a caring person.
Yeah.
You are too.
Yeah.
I know you are. So like, don't even put yourself in that battle.
Yeah, and it is tough too because we have mutual friends and stuff like that. We haven't crossed each other's paths only because I've for every event that we should have crossed paths, I was busy. But I know it's gonna happen, and I know it's gonna be weird, and I don't want it to be weird. You know what I'm saying? But
awkwardness happens.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
It is.
So, you know, I don't know, I'll get there. But, you know, this is the ups and downs of life.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I try to tell people, like, even about, like, social media, like, don't get caught up in y'all see what people want y'all to see. And this is why I love what you're doing in regard to, like, the vulnerable moments, because people don't feel like they have a safe space. And then sometimes people's safe space is social media, and you're like, wait a minute. Like, my poor baby Kanye. And his baby going through something, and
he bipolar.
He is.
He
I'm not even like a Kanye fan. I can't even tell you. First of all, I don't even know rap songs because the words go too fast. So I don't know. I know beats. I know bits and pieces. Like, meet me at the crossroads. I don't know words. They go so fast. I'm an R&B person.
Oh, me too, all day.
And even then, I still look up the words to make sure I'm saying it right. Because I know there's some songs that I done made up my own words to.
Trust me.
And I'm still gonna sing them.
Oh, for sure.
Even if I know the right one. But so, like, just that mental space, man, like, and especially in our community, I'm glad that it's growing. The awareness of mental health, especially amongst black men.
I'm happy, but I'm scared at the same time.
Me too.
And I'm scared because of social media.
Yeah.
Like, this dude, we gotta wrap this up. Dang, this conversation getting good though. He was like, yo, like, in a couple of years, kids gonna be picking their therapist based upon their social media. And I was like, yo, that's freaking scary.
Yeah.
That makes me so nervous.
I had to learn that you had to. I've had three therapists, and I had to learn that. I had to learn that first of all, sometimes they're seasonal.
Absolutely.
Second of all, because you're going through these different stages, right? And so I had a therapist, and then she was great, and I felt like I was good. I didn't need another one, and then I got another one. That therapist helped me get diagnosed with ADHD, but then she was white, and I'm like, I got to a point where I'm like, some things we just not gonna be able to, because we not, you know. And then I got with my other therapist, my therapist I have now, who came by way of my last relationship, which was a whole thing, and she's been my therapist ever since, and she's been great. But it's like shopping for the right prom shoe. You know what I'm saying?
The one that just fits.
And it can't be off of social media likes. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll tell anybody, I'm like, yo, if you have a therapist and they don't give you homework, get rid of them. Yeah. You're not gonna require. They taking your money on this couch.
All my clients homework.
Yeah.
Every last one of them, like, yo, did you do homework?
That's the first question.
If not, let's do it now.
Yeah, that's the first question. You know what I mean? And it's so necessary because people have got to learn how to deal with their traumas.
Yeah. And
realize that your traumas really are your triumphs, but you got to learn how to transition.
Yeah, and how to get to the triumph.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. So many people stuck in their traumas.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got to close this one out.
All right, that's cool, man.
That's good.
When I come back to it, man, we can do it again. But I love you. I appreciate everything you're doing.
Appreciate you. I'm going to do a commercial real quick. I want you to close this out if you got anything left in you.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Something powerful.
Commercial, something powerful?
No, I'm going to do the commercial. I'm messing with you.
All right.
I'm going to do my commercial real quick, and then I want you to just close out with something powerful, some words of wisdom, and let people know where they can find you.
I got you.
And where they get some ugly clothes.
Yeah, we love ugly clothes.
This episode is sponsored by the Emboldened Institute. It's my space where I just help people affirm themselves, love themselves, and get through that traumatic situation that they've been going through or trying to get through. So text me the word heal or text me the word affirmation to 404-476-6780. That's 404-476-6780. Yo, text me. I promise you, it's me, 10 a.m., 7 days a week, 365. We not stopping this train. We all riding this thing out. I want you to ride it with me. All right, so we out. Kels.
All gas, no brakes, man.
You not really believe that method?
No.
Well,
then take it back. Then I hope you edit it out.
No, nothing gets edited out. Just the beginning and the end.
Oh, that's fine. Well,
I mean, if you believe it, that's your forte.
I just
don't believe it.
I'm not. Listen, I used to ride motorcycles. Not all the time should you hit the throttle. You should not. Sometimes you do need to hit the brake. Sometimes you need to gas into the turn. I don't know. Listen, man. I get it. It's like all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's logistically, it's not the greatest thing to do. The point is that it's 365 days a year and we're not stopping doing what we're doing. However, there will be some days where we put on the parking brake and just take our moment. But I gotta look at the camera, right? It's right there. I am Kelli Kells and I am the Ugly Brand. You can find me at no, that's not even my Instagram. I don't know what I am Kelli. That's it. I am Kelli, KELLI_Kells, KELZ on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. It is me. I will respond. It is me too. Maybe not 24/7, but I'm going to respond.
I'm not responding y'all 24/7. We just send y'all.
Just send the message.
Yeah.
We're available
24/7. Your Instagram
and you can get
underscore.
I did put the underscore.
Did you? I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I am Kelli, KELLI_KELZ. I'm sure he'll have it in the notes, right? There you go. Go down to the notes, right? Get you some ugly gear at theuglybrand.com. Theuglybrand.com. I want you guys to always know and understand that it is okay. You need to get comfortable in being in an ugly space. Be comfortable being in an ugly space. And remember that everything that you're going through has absolutely nothing to do with you but the person that's coming behind you.
There you have it. I can't close it out no better. You heard it here. We are out. Peace.
Peace.